Welcome to the Ska History Hour with your host, Darrell Rubio, wherein the purpose of this channel is to spread awareness of ska music and its subgenres to the world. Our theme today is ska in the 90s. Our guests today have also lived through this time period with myself as members of the ska scene. We have Aaron Carnes, author of the book In Defense of Ska and the In Defense of Ska podcast. We also have Middagh Goodwin from This Is Ska Radio, Beat Happy Music, DJ M80, and curator, we could say, of the Central Valley Ska Festival coming up on April 18th in a few weeks. Last but not least, we also have Tavis Werts, formerly of Real Big Fish, and now playing with not only the Goodwin Club, but several other bands in the Southern California area. Is that right, Tavis? Great.
That is correct.
We appreciate the time we're taking to speak with us, to share your stories and your music with the ska community. Each of you, I know we all go way back to the 90s. We know it was a vastly different scene than it is now. How do each of you feel, or what do you feel is the difference between how ska was in the 90s and playing music, promoting, just the general scene, as compared to how it is now, and now they're in 2026. Let's start with Tavis.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, happy to be here. I think certainly the 90s ska scene was huge. There was a ton going on. I was amongst the Orange County scene, so there were dozens and dozens of bands, and there were all sorts of places to play. I joined Real Big Fish when I was 16, so most of us, a lot of us were super young and still in high school playing shows every weekend. And I think now there is a scene that I've seen kind of developing, and I've been kind of on the outside of it, so I haven't been amongst it. But certainly, as I'm kind of getting back into it, I'm seeing a lot. There are bands. I think that the biggest change is that there aren't all ages venues to play anymore the way there were back in the 90s. In the 90s in Orange County, there were a ton of venues, most of which were kind of like, we played in a ballet studio on the weekends, and somebody rented a warehouse and put on shows there, side by side. There was a roller rink. Maybe that's happening, but it doesn't seem to me that that's happening as much now. So I think that's a big part of it. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. Growing up in the 90s, we were given a ton of freedom as kids. At least I was. At 13, I'd leave the house at 9 a.m. and ride my bike for all day. My parents didn't know where the hell I was, and I'd come home at 7:30. Now I've got friends who have 14-year-olds who need babysitters, and it's how are they going to start a music scene if they're not allowed to make their own dinner? That may be productive, but I think that was part of the 90s scene, is we were all just sort of feral and doing whatever we wanted.
Right. What do you think, Aaron?
There's a lot of great bands now, but I think it's not driven by the high school / early 20s age like it was back then. I was very excited when there was some amount of resurgence of ska that was sort of coming around 5 or 6 years ago, and there's a lot of good that's come from that. But I think that's the factor that's been missing, is the sort of the young, we're high school and we're in ska bands and stuff. Conversely, I've seen that happen with hardcore, and you've seen hardcore really blown up. A new wave of hardcore has really blown up in the last 5-6 years, and it was coming out of the pandemic. There was all these young bands. They were playing shows in parking lots, and some of those bands have really blown up to be pretty close to mainstream. I mean, I don't know if any people, what they consider Turnstile, but that's a band that came from hardcore that's basically a mainstream band now. But other bands, like Scowl and these other bands, they come from that sort of hardcore, playing parking lots and wherever generator shows, just 5-6 years ago, and they're having pretty substantial careers. So, and I feel like there's a connection between hardcore and ska, not really musically so much as these are DIY scenes. These are very community oriented sort of thing. So I feel like that could happen with ska, but I think it needs more youth in order for that to happen.
Middagh?
I agree with the needing to bring in a younger crowd into the scene, younger bands. And as Aaron said, back, especially in the 90s, you had bands like Fishbone, the Toasters, Crazy Eights, coming up, Donkey Show, coming up from the mid to late 80s, no doubt from, of course, and influencing the youth, these high school kids, Real Big Fish, Say Ferris, all these bands being influenced by these bands coming and playing either the high schools or playing nearby. And he said roller rinks, bowling alleys, backyards. So you see that, and kids goes, "Oh, I like that. Oh, I played trumpet in high school marching band, or I know somebody. I play guitar or bass, whatever." And bands started forming. Big turning point, I will say. We'll give Mike Park a little thumbs up for his Misfits of Ska comp. I believe both of you were on one of them.
I was on number 2.
That was a turning point for a lot of. I was doing shows. You were doing shows. You have a band from that compilation come into town. You'd have 300 kids show up on a Tuesday night because they all had it and they all traded them. That was a big thing back then too, was exchanging the music. Now everything's accessible, everything's out there, and there's just so much of it. So there is a little bit of, I think, oversaturation of just music in general. So trying to bring it into any one genre for somebody to go pinpoint and go, I'm hanging my hat on that. Aaron has 100% hung his hat on ska. I hear this new book he's working on has nothing to do with ska, but he's working ska into
nothing to do with it. Yeah.
At least if he can get the words ska in a paragraph 3 down, where you could look at like some kind of cipher. But I think it is important to bring younger people in. Back when we were all doing it, and it was, I won't say successful, but at least you had people show up and you weren't going broke doing it.
Yeah.
That was it. And the other side is, if you have a Link 80, that was a perfect example of a band all under 18 when they started and blew up quick and were out touring for the grace of Danielle, of course, but they were on the road and that was huge.
Yeah.
And as Tavis said, it was not that dangerous yet. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, graduated in 85. So when I was a kid, same thing, skateboarding or riding your bike around. I lived in Hawaiian Gardens, which was kind of a dangerous town, but I'd drive out to Long Beach, ride my bike to Long Beach or Anaheim or whatever, because it was right there, out to Knott's Berry Farm to see the Untouchables. And you could go on tour. Aaron, how old were you when Flat Planet first toured across the U.S.?
18 or 19.
18 or 19. A bunch of kids hopping in a vehicle.
Yeah.
They, what do they know?
Yeah.
So that's an important thing, is just one, doing it. And 2, if we can get a younger crowd to get back out there. I see them. We all see them at shows, especially in the Latin community, which is great. That's a big part of it in California and in Mexico, of course. Mexico is that's the place we all have to look to.
Yeah.
There is a band from Southern California called Chudson. I'm sure you guys.
Yes,
you guys are probably. They're young and they're a good band, but I think like the thing that kind of like brings me joy is watching their social media because of their age, they use social media differently than like all of us older bands or whatever, and that's that kind of highlights what's missing, like that youth like that knows how to like create content and make funny weird videos, and like you'd see clips of their shows and it's just great. It has that chaotic energy that you can create when you're that age. And I think also to some degree I would put Jer in that category too. Jer is a little older now, but they come from a generation where they understand the internet and content creation and its relationship to music, and that's something you don't see a lot of with most of the ska bands because they're older, I think.
Well, that was a big thing during the pandemic. A lot of the bands that really latched on to social media and did it well. Catbite did a lot, they were doing live streamings and doing stuff. Jer, of course, Half Past Two. There was a bunch of bands
That operation always made
that
like
operation that
they make
you
good
knew about
videos and
them
they also
even if you didn't know about their music.
photos. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the video these days. Sorry, Tavis, go ahead.
I was just gonna to say, Aaron was saying that there's not a lot of connection between hardcore and ska musically, and I think at least in the Southern California, the younger bands that I've been seeing, there's a very like strong hardcore connection, and a lot of the singers are kind of like in the '90s. It was like we were blending ska with pop punk. Now I feel like there's especially in the Spanish speaking bands, like a big blend of that kind of hardcore energy, hardcore vocals, kind of hardcore guitars with ska breakdowns and a ska feel and horns that are playing like kind of the Voodoo Glow Skull style, really fast staccato. And I think it's just a cool, like, yet another sort of variation on ska is this kind of hardcore influence ska.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Omnigon do more of that.
Yeah. No, I definitely think ska punk, ska core bands that came out after the 90s, they tend to be heavier bands with heavier influences. I think that's definitely something I've noticed. I agree that there wasn't as much hardcore influence in 90s ska. It was more pop punk and other genres of punk rock. But yeah, it's definitely blast beats and the whole everything is just all over like the post 90 bands, let's say.
Yeah. I want to touch on something that Middagh said earlier about influencing some of the bands from back in the 90s that influenced the new ones. We interviewed Tara from Half Past Two, and she said one of her big influences was Monique from St. Ferris back then, which got her a lot, into it. And some of the guys from Lone Raspberry also got into it because of things that they had seen before, older adult or older siblings, or things that they had seen in high school. So things like that. Now, you guys also touched upon the influx of bands nowadays. I mean, there's a shitload of ska bands. It's like so many that I can't even keep up with. And of course, Aaron too. You and Middagh, you guys got to keep up with this shit too, in regards to what you guys do. But do you guys find it like overwhelming as opposed to the 90s when we had a fistful of bands that we would go see all the time and we actually knew them? Now it's just too much, in my opinion.
I mean, are there more ska bands now than there were in the 90s? I feel like if you look at it from the point of view of how many bands in the 90s sort of were big enough to headline and kind of have carried on over the years, it's not a lot. But if you look at it from the point of view of like every single high school ska band that existed, then there was way too many. And I think it's the same is true for now. It's like there's a ton of bands that don't really stick out, but there's a handful that are like that's the band, or and then there's a lot of bands from the 90s or 80s or early 2000s that are still playing, and some of them are still sound great and still making good new music.
I think we're a bunch of middle-aged dudes talking about this, like when you're in your teens, like when I was in high school, bands were all I thought about, and I knew all the local bands, and I would see bands that came through town, and like I was hanging out in record stores every day, picking up whatever new releases or demos I could find. Now we're all of an age where we get rents and kids and 9 to 5 jobs, and so I think that makes it feel like it's just harder to keep up. But I'm sure if we had a 17-year-old on here, he would just laugh at us. And
probably.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't think that there's more bands now than then. It's just you can do a search and they're all there. If you've recorded something, it's online. As Tavis said, you had their demo, you had a cassette. Oh, here we go. You have cassettes. That's how you had compilations. so you got one or two songs, or you had a cassette, and that's how you did it. And unless they came through, or you did tape trading, or you knew somebody, you didn't have. You may have heard the band, but saw a flyer that when you were out somewhere, but may not have seen it. Read the liner note and went, okay. Flat Planet had sang these 6 bands, and so did Skank and Pickle. I got to find these 6 bands.
Mhm.
But I think when we were there, it's like Stockton, when I was doing shows in Stockton, there was Sandwich Mafia, there was Section H, there was short. I'm blanking on the name, but there was a ton of them. There was like every high school in town had a ska band in it, at least one.
Mhm.
And this was in Stockton, not in a major city. And then Modesto had some, and Tracy had some. And then you go to the Bay Area, and same thing. I mean, for God's sake, Gilroy had a ska band.
What band came from
Garlic
Gilroy?
ska.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they were all out there. It's just unless you were in their orbit, you missed them. Now
Exactly.
you can do a search, and that's things like
Mhm.
here's
Well,
Bandcamp. It's like, let me see, and it's just like a ton of just listings, and you go through and you find ones that kind of look interesting, or the cover looks interesting. And that's kind of how it was when we didn't have much money and we're buying a record at a record store. The nice thing I always saw was in the late through the 80s into the 90s, you could go and buy a ska record, and it was usually pretty good, especially if it was on vinyl, because it cost money to do that.
Mhm.
And now you can record something lo-fi in your house. It could be great, it may not, but you have to listen to it to find out just how good it is. You can't trust that just because it's on the internet, it's going to be good.
True.
Yeah, I think there's that double-edged sword of the gatekeeping has been removed of you don't need to find somebody to put out your record. Anyone can record a song and put it out. On the flip side of that is that, you don't have all the compilations or like anything that came out on Asian Man. I know I'm going to buy because it's probably going to be really good. We've lost that thread of like how to find bands. So they're all more accessible, but harder to find in some ways. So I think that's another thing that, and now we're just relying on the algorithm to, I liked this band, and so hopefully it'll show me some other bands that are similar.
No, you're absolutely right. Because, remember back in the 80s, I would buy anything from Lookout Records just because of the bands that were on it. Green Day, Up Ivy, and you had there was all the comps that they had, that Can of Pork, and just everything was just so. I went to Lookout as everything Asian, everything Jump Up Records, everything Beat Happy Music, those
Maybe not
types of things.
everything, huh? Moon Records. I mean, Moon Records had some great comps as well,
Yeah.
and Bib Records. Those
Mhm.
those were things where that was it. It was a resource. You
Wasn't
could
that
buy
was
Mashing Up the
Dan Vitale's
Nation,
label, wasn't it?
California Ska Quake,
Mhm.
any of
That
those,
was,
Scarmageddon.
yeah, California Skaquake was one of the very first comps I got, and it was
Oh, such a good,
mind blowing.
both of them were great, but that first one was just
Yeah, so good.
But with now you don't have much in the way of promotion from ska. I mean, you had obviously in the mid to late 90s, you had major labels involved. But before that, you had, like you had more grassroots ways that they were getting promoted outside of the shows.
Mm.
And that's not there the way it was. I mean, I think just even the presence of Bad Time Records is like a different thing that exists now that wasn't there like 10 years ago, in terms of like this way that newer bands are getting promoted outside of just going to shows. So I think it not having that sort of promotion, it hurts the ability to get people that aren't already into it. So it ends up feeling, there's a sort of an insular quality to it when it, like we all know all this stuff, but people who aren't part of this, they don't have no idea about any of it. But when Scott started to get on radio, even like college radio, bigger stuff, I mean, it was started to reach people who weren't going to ska shows and had no knowledge of this music. And some of them, liked it for 2 years and then left. But other people kind of started to do their research, started to get interested, started to become part of the scene. So there's not really a lot of opportunity to bring new people in, unfortunately.
It's a good thing you touched on comps, because that was our next segue into this. A lot of the comps in the 90s, and like Middagh said about how we got to know those bands because of one song on there, and then you'll buy the rest, or you'll hear the rest of the bands, and you'll buy the rest of their stuff. That was prevalent with Tavis's first band, with Real Big Fish. Is when I heard them on Misfits of Ska. I said, "Holy shit, that was great!" And they're a local band. And then I went to go see you guys, some show in OC back, I don't know, '94 or something. And I forgot who I was I talked to in your band to get you on that generic ska comp. And then you guys played the release party for that too, which was awesome. But just to get to see the bands and get to know them, back then, that's the only way really that we had to learn about new bands. And that's what really drove sales on that. Now everything's digital and people don't want to buy physical media unless you're a collector or an old dude like us. But that was the way that we got to learn about everything back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, compilations were also a main source of promotion for other genres too. I think that really speaks to the era, because I don't think the idea of a compilation, even if it was online only, doesn't really speak to people in the same way. I think people think more in terms of playlists or seeing a video as a means of new music discovery. Compilations is just sort of that era of music discovery. You'd have punk rock compilations, hardcore compilations, label
compilations.
Yeah, label compilations. So it's very much part of our, and I don't even think it really was the thing for an earlier generation either. Like, that's not how earlier generations discovered music. They were very radio oriented. But so it is it's a sliver of time that we all grew up in, where compilations had this significance to us for music discovery.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk a little bit about touring. I hope you guys don't mind that I'm kind of moving on to a little bit, because we got a lot of topics that I have here. But let's talk about touring. We've all toured before. I know probably Tavis has toured the most out of everyone here, but I know you two, Middagh and Aaron, you guys toured with Skanky Pickle, and MU330 together
with
right?
Skanky Pickle in 7 Seconds.
And Slapstick for a chunk of that tour. Yeah.
Stretch Armstrong played the Utah show.
Mm-hmm.
There was a band called Scandal who played in Wisconsin, which was John Reineck's younger cousin's band from Siren 6.
Yeah.
Or Stinkfish.
Stinkfish then, yeah.
No, great tour. We had a lot of fun on that. I don't know if Aaron wants to talk about when we were in, I believe it was Nebraska, and some guy pulled up and was hitting on him.
Yeah. Actually,
buy him some coffee.
One of the funniest things this is just entertaining to me. I don't know if this is entertaining to other people, but through doing my podcast and interviewing all these random people, I learned that tour that Middagh and I did, the show that we played in like upstate Illinois. Do you know what I'm talking about? Rockford or something like that?
I think it was Bloomfield, but yeah. It was with the Exceptions.
Yeah. So the comedian Kyle Kinane, who I had on the show, learned that he was at that exact show. And it just kind of tickles my fancy a little bit, just that we were both in the same space as kids, just like enjoying ska punk, Yeah,
it was at a indoor skate park.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and I remember too. I remember it was a skate park. It was one of the more DIY venues, because in Chicago it was like the Metro.
That was the Metro,
which was a very nice like main club. So yeah, but that tour had a variety of very well established larger venues, and then like DIY spots too.
Yes,
yeah,
because Chicago was the Metro. It was at the fairgrounds in Utah. Minneapolis was at First Avenue Club, where they filmed Purple Rain for Prince.
They played the main space, not the small
main
space.
stage, not the
Oh.
First Avenue, but not
Yeah.
the side door, but the First Avenue.
7th Street entry.
Yeah.
And then
And it was sold out in advance.
Slapstick
point out.
headlined that
Yeah.
show,
Wow.
not on purpose. And then they literally Slapstick drove back to their home to Chicago, I think 6 out of the 9 dates, so they could go to class. They missed one day of it was like during school, so they drive back and forth.
Probably, but the craziest
yeah, there was
story.
one where it was like some country bar. I think that was
Yeah.
the Nebraska one.
Yeah.
There was a few. There was a teen center, and that might have actually been the Bloomfield one, and I think your Rockford one is straight. It was at a teen hall or something, and it was done by like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, but so one of the craziest stories on that tour, and I was like asleep during this happening, so I only know it from Middagh and other people telling me about it, is that Kevin Seconds got his guitar stolen on that tour, and then they tracked the guy down and like kicked his ass, I think, and retrieved the guitar.
Basically what happened was the show's happening. 7 seconds is done. They put their stuff all on the side of the stage, have it there. Somebody ends up going through the back door and taking it and hit it on the roof. So
Of the club?
like out there was like a little thing, so you could like a walkway down from it and to a lower area and it's gone. We're looking for it, asking, and then as we're driving, Lynette looks over. We're leaving and see somebody messing around on the roof. So we stop. The guy goes like hops down or takes off, and Chuck jumps in the van. I think Chuck was driving, and at one point Chuck jumps out of the van. That was what it was, and I'm in the passenger, and the car just keeps going. And Chuck catches him, and Chuck smacks the guy around a bit. I mean, I would have been friends because Chuck,
skinny
Lars,
Chuck
and
Phelps?
Jerry.
You're talking about Chuck
Mike
Phelps,
Parks
right?
looks intimidating. Mike's not intimidating, but he looks intimidating, And yeah, they chased him. Got the next day, we show up. Like, hey, got your guitar back.
So you're
Like
talking
I
about
said-
skinny ass Chuck Phelps.
Yeah.
Chuck Phelps, yeah. But everybody jumped. Like Aaron said, he's sleeping in the back.
I think as I'm sleeping in the back
I
while
think
it's happening, which is
I think you were in the
insane.
coffin.
Yeah.
So they had the top bunk and the bottom bunk, and the bottom bunk you could only get out if somebody let you out of.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron was back there because it was like dark and quiet. And like I said, everybody jumps out of the side and goes running. Chuck jumps out. I have to lean over and put the brakes on, because the van just kept going. But we caught him and got the gear back. So good times. Yeah.
So Tavis, you've toured the most. So after you guys got signed, you had the opportunity to take bands along with you on tour, which was awesome. What bands did you decide that you took that you were close with?
I mean, to be honest, I don't remember how much say we had in who we took along with us. We did. We took Teen Heroes with us. We took a lot of our friends, say Ferris. We did a bunch of tours with the Alcobats before they were as big.
Blue Meanies.
So Blue Meanies, I think we toured with because Tahoe Agency was booking both of us.
Yeah.
And actually, when they told us we were going to tour with them, we got they gave us something to listen to, and I think it was probably "Kiss Your Ass Goodbye." And I listened to it, and I did not get it.
You were scared.
Maybe it just like I had it didn't do anything for me, and so it was 3 or 4 days into that tour when we were probably in like somewhere in Oklahoma, and there was nothing else to do, and I was like, all right, I'll go check these guys out. And I walked into the club and went, oh my god. And they became my favorite band that we toured with. They were so talented, and I had a ton of fun with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so after I think that first tour, we wanted to tour with them again. Maroon 5, when they were still Cars Flowers, their first tour was opening for us.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that they would get booed?
Yeah.
Every show, or just sometimes?
I booked them once in Pasadena with the Hippos, and they were pay to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was every time. Certainly, if they played their own show, they had a lot of fans.
Mm.
Mhm.
But I remember the last show I remember playing with them was at the Glass House in Pomona. Um, and it was kind of during they started off as like a very Brit poppy kind of band, and then they sort of changed into this more like R&B influence thing. And I actually really liked what they were doing, but I remember standing in the back of the Glass House watching them, and there were just like six guys in front of me who all just turned their backs to the stage,
Oh my God.
weren't into it, and it was like, they just, yeah, they weren't what a ska audience wanted to see, despite the fact that they, even at that point were super talented. And like I said, I really liked what they were doing. Um,
For local shows, I remember when Turn the Radio Off came out, and then you guys had, I think it was the record release show at the Palladium, right? Wasn't it? And you had the Aquabats
Tur-
play with you and a couple other bands that I
so
remember.
turn the radio off. Our release party was at the Galaxy in Santa
Okay.
Ana. Now they're
Okay,
and
there
that
was
was
another
the
one that you had.
Aquabats.
There was another one at the
Uh,
Palladium that you had, I remember.
yeah, why do they rock so hard?
Oh, was it?
I think that was the Aquabats and maybe Save Ferris. I've got a flyer here I could grab somewhere, but um, yeah, that those shows, local shows, we would just ask our friends.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the bands that I like seeing is Wax, 22 Jacks, of course, Suburban Legends, who are playing this year's Supernova, uh, along with our friend Jeff Rosenstock.
Hmm.
Nice.
Uh, some of the other ones, but yeah, there were some fun bands that you guys went out with here and there. So
Yeah, I actually I was recently cleaning out some stuff in my closet and found my box full of, old flyers, and I've actually got every tour itinerary from like 95 through 99 or 2000.
nice.
And I was going through and looking at some of the open, there's things that I don't even remember. We did a tour with, it was Goldfinger and Unwritten Law. I didn't remember playing with Unwritten Law at all. um, but yeah, like we played with so many different bands.
Did you ever have a tour journal that you wrote things down on?
I tried to once, and I got about 4 days into it, and then just never did again.
Yeah.
Um, Even like looking through those old schedules, like there's so much stuff where I was like, I don't remember playing that, but it's just like we were from basically the time we were signed in November of '95, pretty much until I left, we were busy. Like we did not take any time off. There's like I found one of the tour schedules is our first European tour where we landed on June 2nd and we left on June 30th and we had one day off.
Oh,
Wow.
shit. That's too bad
So
you don't
yeah,
have time to enjoy the sights.
no, not at all.
You don't really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I joke about, like I've been to tons of places and I've seen the inside of lots of bars and anything is within about a block radius of that and not much else.
I remember I went on tour in '98 with the Adjustments and the Decepticons, and I actually wrote up a tour journal for everything that we did, good and bad. And I don't know how stupid I am. I had you guys remember Scott Prezant or from Scratch Magazine?
Yeah.
I remember Scratch.
Yeah. So Scott wanted to publish it, and he did, and it had all the stupidest things in there. And I have a copy of it, and I read it. I said, well, "How fucking stupid am I?" Even saying I was telling things about guys getting with girls on tour and all these other things. It was so fucking stupid. But back then, yeah.
That's why nobody likes you.
Well, no. There's more reasons than that.
Just be thankful it was pre-internet.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's finding
Exactly.
that issue of Scratch anywhere.
Oh no, no shit, huh? So
Challenge taken.
there was very few bands that actually made it to a major label. A lot of them were Orange County bands. We had Real Big Fish, who you guys got signed. Say Ferris got signed. Um, of course, No Doubt, Goldfinger, a bunch of other bands that actually got signed back then. And there was a lot of bands that, in my opinion, should have been signed. One of mine is Meal Ticket. I think Meal Ticket was fucking amazing with the
They were a lot of
hardcore
good.
and the ska, and that was
Mhm.
one that I think really should have been signed. Oh, I forgot the Hippos too. They got signed. Um, Who do you guys feel that didn't get the bands who didn't get the justice that they actually deserve, that they should have actually made it to that next level?
I mean, I feel like to a certain degree, Skank and Pickle were like the underground big band that, and they didn't really record quite, they didn't, I don't know, the production of their records weren't quite right, in my opinion. They were great live, and they were one of the biggest draws. And then they broke up, or Mike left like right before this sort of the big ska, the craze. But there is a world where they didn't break up and they produced another album and either got signed or got big. I mean, they are kind of a hard to market band, but nonetheless, they were kind of the leaders of the scene. So,
but I will say, I mean, speaking of Skank and Pickle, they passed on a lot of deals. There's a little band called Sublime that kind of made it big from down south. That offer was to Skank and Pickle.
Oh, okay.
They passed on it.
Yeah, I mean,
got signed to MCA as well. They passed on that one. IRS, there was a bunch of labels who had offered Skank and Pickle contracts, but they were making really good money as an independent band doing it all themselves.
I mean, it is possible that Skank and Pickle could have, had they not imploded, had they stayed together, had they produced another record and maybe got the right engineers and producers to make the right record.
A little money on it.
Yeah, and there's a world where they, as an independent band, started to get radio play and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
that is totally a possibility.
The fan base is definitely there. Like talking about that tour we did, most bands were not playing the First Avenue Club back when they did that tour back in '96. They were playing the side door, which was about 200 capacity, and Skank and Pickle selling it out.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a Monday night or something, or a Sunday night. It was an off night.
So Slapstick is probably the band that really could have blown up, but they were offered a deal with Epitaph, which they turned down.
Who was that?
Slapstick were offered an Epitaph deal, and they turned it down.
Yeah,
because they didn't want to sell out.
Hoodlum Empire had gotten called down to talk to him. And one of the guys in the band, I guess, ended up hitting on Brett Gerwitz's girlfriend.
Oh.
And he kind of passed on it.
But Slapstick could, if they had taken the deal with Epitaph.
Oh yeah, they would have. That definitely would have been huge.
They would have been. They could have possibly been the biggest like ska punk band of the '90s, late second half of the '90s.
I mean, I think Hepcat should have been bigger than they were. Slackers, same thing. I mean, they're still going strong, doing well, but. I mean, just sonically, they were so good.
Yeah.
Too good, maybe.
Well, and they stuck to the traditional sound. Don't get me wrong, they're one of my favorite bands of all time, but they didn't have, you weren't going to hear them on K-Rock, following up a Green Day song.
K-Rock said they would never play Sublime, but, things happen.
Yeah.
But Hepcat did have, they were on Hellcat. Brett Gerwitz, to my understanding, in my interviews, it's always hinted at but never said, was hardcore pushing them. And not only were they getting pushed pretty hard, they were getting pushed into sort of these different spaces, like music like Ben Keller, or like sort of these like different softer alternative rock type of styles, like in terms of like putting them on tour with these types of bands to try to market them that way, since it probably didn't make sense to market them more in a punk rock way. And I saw them on Conan O'Brien back in '97. So it's interesting that they didn't get bigger, because there was actually quite a bit of push to make them bigger, and they were given quite a few opportunities. It just didn't quite land, I guess, with the audience.
Was it them that got an offer from Maverick Records for Madonna's label? There was one band who did.
Skeletones, I think was the band.
Okay.
Yeah. They got offered so many offers, and they turned so many of them down. I don't understand. I interviewed Paul, I think it's Paul, and he went through the list of, I mean, they did accept one of them, but that didn't. It ended up not panning out because the singer Jonas like had like problems with his voice, like some sort of like injury or illness or something that sort of like ruined that opportunity. But you know, Epitaph wanted them. There was all these different labels that wanted them, and they're like, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. So they were pretty picky. And I mean, I think that what is it? What was your? I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. The Real Big Fish label was
Mojo.
Mojo wanted them.
Mojo
Mojo wanted them, and that would have probably been their best shot because Mojo was marketing ska, but they turned Mojo down.
And that makes a lot of sense since Paul was in that for the first Goldfinger video that popped in my bedroom. So you know, there was that connection there. I know what was it? Memphis Scoffleys had a major distributed, like it was a indie label, was major distribution for a minute.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were bands out there that
Memphis
had.
Memphis Scoffleys were one of the earlier bands to get on MTV. Not that they got heavy rotation, but they were early. Their video for I think Doomsday got on an MTV pretty early.
That's pretty awesome. Bands that you guys have seen the most amount of times that you did not tour with or play in.
Well, I will say, and I did tour with them, but I saw them a ton of times just outside, even not doing any work with them, just going with Skank and Pickle.
Same.
Boss Tones, I used to see them once or twice every time they'd come out for sure.
ME330 I saw.
ME330. Yeah. I mean, Siren 6 or Stinkfish. Saw them because they were coming out before they moved to LA. They were out here I booked them, I think 5 times in 6 months one year.
Wow. I love that band.
Slow Gherkin.
Yeah.
They're from the area, so saw them a lot, and my band played with them quite a bit too. So
yeah.
So I mean that would think. I mean, when they were the bands, it's like if they were somewhat local, you just saw them all the time. Filibuster, I used to go see Filibuster every time I could. Blue Meanies, anytime they came out here, I went to see them. So good, just so good. But yeah, just about any ska band that came through, you went and saw them.
I remember.
It's not fair for me because I toured with all of them.
Yeah.
Band I've seen the most is Rocket from the Crypt, so they're not a ska band.
Do you guys Real Big Fish played was it the Board Aid? Board in Orange County. Do you remember those? Back in the day, would you guys play that or was it Warped after that? It changed into Warped, I think maybe.
You mean Snowcore?
No, it was Board in Orange County. That's what it was called.
I vaguely remember
those were the festivals. Like it was like in 93, 94 before I think Warped Tour started. I think it merged into Warped Tour. Maybe.
Yeah, I think we did that. There was a show we played right before we kind of got big. It was one of the only times we actually ended up playing with Sublime. And it was a festival at Carson Velodrome, Cal State Dominguez Hills, whatever that was called then.
That was it?
Yeah. And it was like we were on the side stage. It was us and Vitamin L.
Oh God.
Yeah, a few other bands. But yeah, I think we played that, but that might have been the same year as the first Warped Tour.
Okay.
Or maybe second. Because I went to, there was a Warped Tour at that same venue, 94 or 95, actually, that Rocket from the Crypt played. Went to that. And then we were on Warped Tour in 97. So there was a year in between. So it was probably Warped Tour 95. Board in Orange County would have been 90. I want to say it was 95 as well. I think I remember having to take the day off work at Bionic Records, and I didn't start working there till 95.
Okay. Bionic.
Random tangent. You guys opened for Kiss one time, didn't you?
We did.
Yes.
That was real weird.
And didn't you play 2 shows Scott told me this. You opened for Skank and Pickle, and then you ran over to the arena and opened for Kiss.
Vice versa.
The other way around.
Yeah, we opened for Kiss. We played super early. It was at Irvine Meadows. They misspelled our name on the marquee. Um,
How did they
but
misspell it?
Real.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, and so we played that, jumped in the van, hightailed it out to San Bernardino, where we played a festival with Skank and Pickle, and I think Aquabats were on that, maybe My Superhero. I don't remember who else, but
Now let me ask you, which one did you enjoy most?
definitely the festival. Well, I mean, we playing with Kiss was an experience. Like, supposedly, Ace Frehley watched our sound check and liked us. We saw spacing on his name, bass player Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons.
Backstage, he wouldn't even look at us. It was just we were playing Irvine Meadows, which is a huge venue. The only people who were there were like the Kiss super fans who were sitting in like the front three rows. So we're playing to this like empty, massive venue to a bunch of people who did not care about us at all. So it was a fun experience, but certainly we had more fun when we got to the show where people actually liked us.
Everybody, some of you may not remember the KGB from Oakland.
Yeah.
Remember the KGB? Okay. They were on Interscope. Another one of those bands got signed. Worst luck because the album was originally supposed to come out right around 9/11. And then it was like push. Or no, it was supposed to be released earlier than that, and it came out like right around that time, and then got just kind of buried because nobody was thinking about it. But they said their best and worst shows were opening up for Kiss and Sex Pistols, two different shows, and they said absolutely they were all excited. Okay, we're playing with these.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they could have just put a best of Kiss CD on, and the crowd would have been happier than seeing us up there dance around playing horns and funky music that they had no interest in seeing.
Sure.
So
I think
it's interesting that you guys played with Kiss as well.
Yeah, and I think the way that came about for us is that they had asked some local promoter, who draws a big crowd, and that was kind of when we were just starting to take off. And so our name got thrown in the ring, and they asked us, do you want to
John
do this? And we're
Halperin.
like,
John Halperin did
yeah,
it.
probably. It was either Halperin or Panel.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Probably Panel, because he was doing like the Viva Las Vegas then. But they asked us if we wanted to do it. We're like, they're gonna fucking hate us. Yeah, let's do it. It was just we were pretty good at searching for those, just like, oh, this is gonna be weird and shitty, but it'll make a fun story, so let's do it.
100%.
Yeah. Let's look at some flyers. I'm gonna share my screen here.
So I'll go get the bin.
All right. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know what year this one was from. God, I remember I was at this show, but I think it was like 91, the Boss Tones and the Voodoo Glow Skulls. Back then, Spanky's Cafe was pretty popular, but it was a very long drive from where I was. We got some Steady Beat shows here on the right. He was doing everything at that time all the time. He was doing all kinds of different ska. He's got Roxy with Unsteady and Hippos, Red Session from Hawaii. He's got Ozo Motley he was doing back then. Hepcat, a bunch of these. Doing Insiders, a soul band from up there, Dynamic Pressure. I think they were from Hawaii, Skinhead Reggae. So he's doing a lot of shit there. Mustard Plug, Janitors.
But he would eventually stick to traditional ska at a certain point. Yeah.
Yeah, Luis would. Here's one where I remember this one very, very well. One where Tavis's band was supposed to headline, but apparently we didn't get the permits. So do you remember that, Tavis, that show? It was in Montebello at a ballroom that had a huge ballroom and a smaller one. And I had to go on stage and tell everybody the show was over and give everybody their money back. And I remember talking outside with Aaron and Vince and those guys, and still had to pay you guys, which was the worst.
Yeah,
starting your career in
promoting
and losing money.
Yeah, totally. So we tried to make it up. We had another one here, the Skazuka too. These are just a bunch of other bands, but I guess some of them made it big, like Tavis, your band. Homegrown did well for themselves. Hippos did well. Of course, Safe Air.
Everyone in Pocket Lint did fairly
Oh
well.
yes, yes. Ike and Isaiah.
Ike and Aaron.
I mean Ike
Aaron
and
played with Hepcat. Um, Mike Long, the bass player, played with a bunch of like hip hop stuff.
Mhm.
Tim
Long
Wu
Beach,
plays with Dub All Stars.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was in that band for a short amount of time.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I remember.
Interesting side note, band from Modesto named Homegrown just celebrated 53 years with their farewell show on Sunday.
Holy crap!
And they said because I mentioned, oh yeah, there was this kind of ska reggae band, like, oh yeah, we used to get calls all the time from friends who would go, oh, are you coming down in Southern California, or you're doing this? Once they started popping a little bit,
Yeah.
like, no, we're not down there. That's a different band.
Oh man, I wish I'd gone to that Hepcat Suburban Rhythm Dance Hall.
Yeah,
Old World?
Suburban Rhythm. I remember them.
Meal ticket.
Feels
That
like it,
meal
yeah.
ticket back then. All right,
Our-
skip over. Here's one that I remember when we drove up there to go play with your band Tavis. And then of course Slow Gherkin and Punch the Clown back then. I think didn't Undercover Ska play this band too? Or the show too? Undercover SKA? I'm almost
I don't
positive they did.
remember that. Where?
This was at Big Heart City in San Francisco. I think it was San Francisco, wasn't it?
What year was that?
This must have had to have been 96 or 7.
Okay.
I'm almost positive. It was 96 or 97.
Yeah, I don't remember that one at all.
Yeah. We've got Goodwin Club here, which, Tavis plays in sometimes now.
So that
Skapesh
newer
Mode,
show,
which is
Skapesh Mode.
Skapesh Mode, which is Kevin's band.
Skadana, Jackie Mendez.
And Jackie there. Here's
When
one
was-
when.
Oh, I played that show.
Oh, you did? You play this one? With
I
who?
played with Skadana.
Oh, okay.
Their trumpet player wasn't available, so I covered, which was the first time I had seen Jesse in like God knows how long, and part of the reason probably I ended up in the Goodwin Club now.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesse's a great dude. Here's just one from when I was on tour with the Hippos when we played in Colorado with these bands. That was pretty damn good. I remember this band. They didn't really go anywhere, unfortunately.
Do any of you guys remember Out of Order? I have a memory of them. I cannot find this anywhere on YouTube of them appearing in a Kit Kat commercial.
They were in a Kit Kat commercial,
Okay.
and they
Airwalk.
also were in a shoe commercial.
Okay.
Airwalk.
Airwalks, that was it. They were in, I think, 2 Airwalk commercials. But yeah,
Yeah.
they were. I'll see if I can find the Kit Kat one. I know I've shared it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Send it my way.
Rest
Really
in
bizarre.
peace. Rest in peace to Beaver. Unfortunately, he passed away
Yes.
about 8 years ago or so. But actually, Melting Pot and Out of Order are playing together. They're called Out of Pot now. So Travis, the bass player, Dave, the keys for Out of Order, they're playing with the other guys. So that's kind of cool. We got a Blink 182 that played at the Palace in Hollywood when it was actually called the Palace. Frenzel Rom, I think they were from
Australia. Super good band.
Homegrown, and then this other band.
Yeah, I did a tour with Les and Jake and Frenzel Rom.
That was that tour. I remember that tour.
No, that wasn't that one because Blink 182 wasn't on that.
That's
day.
right. You're right. It was the core of Blink 182, Les and Jake, and Frenzel Rom that went across the nation. Yeah.
That I think was the one right before, right after.
Yeah.
When we did the Warp Tour in Australia, Frenzel Rom was on it.
Yeah.
They were huge in Australia on that Warp Tour.
Yeah.
They were flying between cities instead of driving the massive 20-hour drive.
I'd forgotten that. Yeah, I got to be kind of close with a couple of them, and I love that band.
This one, I don't know where this one. It's a cool benefit for Blue Meanies, for the Blue Meanies friends. But this was, God, I don't remember. These guys were, it was like Chicago area. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Monsignor is from that area, and Luke Skywalker from back in Illinois as well. So that would be Illinois.
Yeah, that's
Luke
right.
Skywalker is just, that was a name ripe for the taking.
This was a great show right here.
That's
this
in
Buckle
New
Night
Orleans.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some more local ones here that we've got. Got Meal Ticket, Janitors, My Superhero, the Hippos. Real Big Fish, Out of Order, Mob Town, Hippos, Knuckle Sandwich, Pocket Lint, and Hopscotch, Rich's other band.
That looks a little like maybe a showcase flyer.
I think it is. I may have cut it off. Yeah, but Ezot did all those little tiny flyers back then.
Yeah.
This is the one that I booked here. I was happy I had Skeletons and these guys on
Mob
here.
Town.
I booked Citizen Fish and Schlong. Um, Another one. This is the one that you guys played for me, Tavis, and on that
Yep.
1995. This was on tour here. MU330, Animal Chin, Decepticons. There's another one here. Real Big Fish, My Superhero, Action League.
I remember that show.
Yeah. Say Ferris
Roxy.
and Hippos. Yeah, that's right.
18-year-old me.
Who's this guy?
I still have that hat.
Do you really? You
I
do like
do.
bowler hat?
Yeah, it looks real gross these days.
Here's another one: Skeletones, Hippos, Mob Town. This was the Glass House. I don't know if was John promoting or booking then. I don't remember. I don't think so. He must have been having to do all this already for them to be on here. This is the only time
he was probably doing it.
This is the only time I was able to book Slapstick because they came down from the Bay Area, but MU330 didn't want to, so we had to replace them with Lone Raspberry. Let's see here. Oh, this is just when I used to have a monthly thing. I had the Scholars from Michigan play.
I like that band. Was that Isaac Green and the Scholars, or was that the other Scholars?
No, that was the Scholars from Michigan. That they turned into Telegraph.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were on Jump Up, I think.
Yeah, when they did the Telegraph stuff, it was on Jump Up.
Yeah.
I booked them. What was funny was Royce Nunnally from Suicide Machine was Sanguis, the singer from Scholars' roommate, and they were all friends back from Michigan. And we had Suicide Machine coming through, and then I get a call from Jeff Sanguis, and he's like, "Hey, we're coming through. Do you have?" And they wanted like the next day. I go, "Can you do a Wednesday?" He's like, "Wednesday, man." They're like, I think they wanted to do a Friday because they knew they were pretty good in stock. And he goes, "Can you do Wednesday?" He's like, "We have Wednesday open, but why do you want to go?" I go, "I don't want you to tell them, but I got Suicide Machines playing that day." He's like, "What?" So and then actually Ready Man and Siren 6 played the show as well, and Sandwich Mafia from Stockton.
Yeah.
Crazy show.
That was the same in the 96, I think it was, when Suicide Machines were recording at A&M. I went down there and hung with them, and I pleaded with them to play that show because I had Less Than Jake and Buck O'Nine and the Hippos a meal ticket playing a show. And so they said, we'll do it on one condition. If we only play a few songs, and we're just going to jump in right in the middle, and you can't announce it. So I actually did announce it by accident. By accident. And they came on, they played 5 songs, and the guitarist Dan could not play anymore. He's all, I can't fucking do it. I can't play anymore because they've been recording in the studio all fucking day. But here, this was a place I used to book at, the Loft in Pasadena. This is where Kara's Flowers played as well. And I don't remember Dynamite Boy from Texas playing that. That was strange.
One of the first ska shows I ever went to was Tazy's birthday party at Club 8.5, I think, in like Yorba Linda, and Freak Daddy was on that. It was Freak Daddy and Dr. Mad Vibes and somebody else.
Who was that?
Freak Daddy. Oh no,
Freak Daddy.
Whose birthday?
Tazy Phillips.
I don't
ska
think
parade. No.
Okay. Well, okay.
Do any of you guys know why Kara's Flowers were playing with ska bands? Was there any connection there? It just seemed like an odd thing that they would.
I do know that for a time they lived in the same apartment complex as the Siren 6, or actually at that time I guess they were Stinkfish.
It was. It's probably our fault.
Your fault too.
Us and Siren 6, we're both, friends with them and really liked them. They were like 16 when we met them, but we got their first demo and really liked them, and so I think we just started putting them on shows with us just because we liked them. At least that's how I remember it. Could be taking credit that we don't deserve, but yeah.
There's a story too where I think they played with Mustard Plug, and Dave kind of talk shit about them on stage, and there's been a Mustard Plug, Kara's Flowers / Maroon 5 beef ever since.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
I will tell you that at least part of the reason they changed their name is they got tired of people pronouncing it Kara's Flowers when it should have been Kara's Flowers.
Oh, I thought that was me. That's how I pronounced it.
Um, but yeah,
Do you guys remember this band, Lucky Seven, from back in the day? They're a traditional ska band in the early 90s.
no.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah,
And
I want to say
Specs-
Fenders closed around 91 or so, so that must have been pretty early.
Yeah, this was 1990. I have the ticket stub still from this one. But
And Culture
no,
Beat
no,
was
I'm
such a
sorry.
great little record store in
Yeah,
Long Beach.
exactly. That's Courtney Miners. Courtney Miners. I
Yeah,
think
that
he
sounds
lives
right.
back in Jamaica now. But you remember the
Um,
Specs, Mob
oh
Town?
yeah,
Yep, remember that. We've got
Hey,
Aaron, a young Aaron here.
And Aaron,
Let's see here. Where am I at? Let's go to 13. All right, we had when the Scatolites came back in town, Spanky's Cafe, Hepcat, the Scandals. The John Panel was in that. So was
Hmm.
no, he wasn't. I'm sorry. It was Brian T-Bone was in the Scandals.
I don't remember them.
Let's Go Bowling, Hepcat, Specs. These were the big bands back in the early 90s. I remember that.
I remember seeing the Specs at that showdown at the Ghost Town
This
show in
one?
Colton. No,
Oh,
it was in Colton showdown at the Ghost Town. It was No Doubt, and I want to say English Beat headlined, and
oh,
then
it was Bang. Dave
oh,
Wakeman,
Dave
Bang.
Wakeman.
yes, yeah, that sounds
Yes,
right.
that's the
But
one.
yeah, Specs played that. I think Skeletones did.
Mhm.
I think Sublime ended up playing, but they weren't on the flyer.
Yeah, and it was opened by band who went on to become a really big pop punk band. It's escaping me. Anyway, good show.
You'll
So-
remember.
But the Specs were really good.
so
Yeah, Specs were great.
Desmond Decker, just looking at the next player, Desmond Decker didn't tour the States until what I assume is going to be early 90s.
Yeah, I think this was 90.
Oh, it says 92. I'm
Oh,
looking
92.
at the
Okay,
bottom,
there.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I
But he
think
hadn't-
this was his first tour.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's
I
hard to
think he
believe.
might have
Yeah.
came over and played like New York and some dates, but
Mhm.
not a tour before
Okay.
that. So one-offs.
And we had the No Doubt, Donkey Show, Gangbusters. What's his John Roy's old band? Specs. I don't know who the Crooks are.
So one of the members of Gangbusters now owns Moe's Alley in
Yes.
Santa Cruz. Yes, I can't
Oh.
remember his name.
Hey, I think this is the one you're talking about, Tavis.
That
Right?
it
is
was
exactly
Face
what
to
I'm
Face
talking
was the
about.
band I was trying to think of.
Oh, that's right. Oh God, I love Face to Face. Oh, until oh God. It was 98. The Aquabats dropped out of a tour with Face to Face and MXPX, and the Hippos were invited along. So we went across Arizona, Texas, and Florida to play with them. And Face to Face was one of my favorite bands, and awesome to play with them, except dealing with their manager, which came to take over the Hippos after they fired me. Had to deal with them. So I went from like loving this band and everything about them to the opposite, which was unfortunate. But that was that. Here's another Freak Daddy. Here's you guys.
Yeah.
Fish here.
I was actually
Spanky.
talking to somebody about this show literally on Saturday.
I think this was Ted's show because Ted Morris from he used to do the Rude Review. This was one of his first shows. He did.
That's actually who I was talking to. We were trying to
Oh.
remember if that was his show or one of the other KSBC shows.
I don't know. I
So
think
you got to send me the flyer so I can send
Yeah.
it to him and see.
I went to the one show that he booked called Skamikaze back in '91. He had the Federales on it, Hepcat, and God, I don't remember who else. I have the flyer somewhere, but it's just so funny. Back in the '90s, you've got your band, you got a funk band, you got a traditional ska band, you got a hardcore with ska band, you got a punk ska band or ska punk band, and then you got a trad band. That doesn't really happen these days.
Well, one thing I think is hilarious is the early days of the real ska, Mr. Chris Murray. Almost all his early shows were with ska punk bands because the trads didn't like him from King Apparatus days, and then it took him basically the Blue Beat Lounge is what but putting on his own traditional shows brought him into the fold. Hey, I know that guy.
And I think this was the
R.I.P. Lynette.
your MU tour, right? When you toured
That was actually Skank and Pickle, the shore that me and Aaron were on, Skank and Pickle and 7 Seconds. And I guess we didn't want Jay Vance or Aaron in the photo.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
I'm not in the photo. Yeah.
And neither is Jay Vance.
Yeah. You.
But I mean,
what...
Jay did piss off both Lars and Jerry quite a bit on that tour. I got pictures of them fighting. But
yeah, he got under everyone's skin.
that was, I mean, talking about some of those shows with so many bands, that was another thing, is you'd get it. None of those bands were going to be walking away with pockets full of money, but they all played together. I remember I can't remember what it was called, but in Bakersfield, they did those like 10 or 12 man ska shows all day. And I remember coming down for one. You guys were playing, Neo Sorskin were playing. I think Unsteady might have been playing. This was a show that Laura was still doing merch for you guys. And then for whatever reason, I was sitting next to somebody and she introduced me as her friend from Argentina. And so I started talking like this. I don't know if you remember when I would see the really big fish boys and I talk like this. This was more like that time then, and then maybe when your later bass merch guy would come along and we'd be talking, and I'd say, and then I'd see you guys and I'd talk normal. But Aaron, for like 8 years, every time I saw him, I'd slip into this voice.
So going back to Jay Vance, because he did
Captured by Robots.
Captured by Robots, but then he did the Teddy Bear Orchestra right after,
yeah,
and then he quit that. Now I went to see Blue Meanies, the reunion, in 2020, 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
And he signed your CD in blood.
He signed it in blood, but I don't understand why he was like that. He was no, and he was just laughing his ass off.
He has a chip in his head.
The
robots control him.
Oh God.
Has he shown you the microchip in his?
No, I really don't know him, but
he hates ska.
It was a weird situation.
Jay hates ska.
That's why Aaron really wrote the book.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince Jay.
Ska versus Jay Vance.
That's funny. Let's go into each of you guys individually. So, Aaron, let's start with you. In Defense of Ska podcast.
Yeah, it ended last July.
But it didn't, because it's still going, right?
Oh, I mean, I put stuff on my Patreon. Yeah, but it's not the same thing. Yeah,
it's still going. You're still pumping stuff out. You must have a lot of material left.
I have some old interviews, and I have new ones I do. People can join the In Defense Scott Patreon if they want to hear stuff I'm doing. Yeah.
And you started In Defense of Scott when, and when did you stop it?
It was in beginning of 2021, January 2021. It came out. We started the first edition of In Defense of Ska was released in May 2021. So it kind of was. It started out as a means to help promote the book, but then we kept doing it until July of last year. And then I've maintained the Patreon and I put out stuff there. Yeah.
You've had a shitload of good interviews, a lot of great bands that you've been able to interview and going strong. That was awesome. And a lot of people were sad to see it go. I remember all of that. Now you're also in a band called Flat Planet.
Yeah.
How did that whole thing come about? How did it come to fruition? What bands have you played with? Because I still need a CD. I'm still looking for that CD, and I heard you have some.
There is a CD that was made after I left the band, but there was a full album that we recorded that never released.
Oh, okay.
So we had a demo tape, and then we recorded a full record. Some of the songs that went on to comps were from that session, but then things started falling apart in the band before we got around to releasing it. So Flat Planet started when I was in high school, but we weren't playing ska originally because I wasn't really aware of ska when we started. We were really into stuff like The Police and Rush and
Mm.
kind of like stuff that most teenagers aren't really into. And we
How
sounded
did
like
you
we
discover
sounded
Scott,
like an
Aaron?
we sounded like an older band, kind of like an older bar band. And then I discovered ska through Skank and Pickle, and I was immediately wanted to turn the band ska, but that took a little doing, took a little time, and eventually we were just a ska band. And
Were you able to get like a CD or something to play for your band to show them what you wanted, your blueprint?
um, I mean, it was probably Skank and Pickle. I don't know.
Mm.
And who did you get that from?
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, the first Skank and Pickle show I went to was at a club in Santa Clara, California, called One Step Beyond, and the person working the merch booth that sold me my CD was named Middagh Goodwin.
Pete Cooper was there too.
Oh, was Pete
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, Bradley Rockwell.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
now
was
Bradley.
just visiting, I think, right?
That was a good show. Cherry Pop and Daddies played
Hmm.
before they were swing,
Yeah, they were just like wearing t-shirts and shorts.
shorts, t-shirts, whatever.
Yeah,
Just
they were not wearing zoot suits.
they hadn't gone Zoot Suit Riot.
Yeah,
Their first couple albums are so weird of just like awesome. Like
everything. Yeah,
they had the ska stuff and they had the just like weird rock stuff and the swing stuff. And our first national tour was
Bowling, Cherry
them.
Pop and Daddies.
Yeah, that
Yes.
tour. And yeah, super fun. And yeah, they were super fun to tour with. Their trumpet player, Dana, I'm still slightly in touch with, and he was the one who taught me how to be a touring trumpet player.
mm. But yeah,
Yeah.
and so I wrote in Defense of Ska in 2021. Then I updated it and I released a second edition in 2024. Excuse
And
me.
there's an audio version of it, correct?
Yes, I recorded an audio, but for the second edition only.
Got it. How long did that take to record?
I went down to I made a deal with an audiobook company, and they had me come down to their studio in Burbank, and it was a 6-day session.
Okay.
I worked from like 9 to 4 every day.
And then you
A
went
lot
to
of
a
talking.
ska show at night.
Yeah, I would fall asleep. Yeah, I was so exhausted. You don't think like how exhausted you get from talking all day, but
Yeah.
excuse me.
And then in Defense of Ska, you and Adam also went to Supernova 2 years ago, was it? And did the podcast there? Was
I think it
it
was 3 years ago.
3 years ago? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because I saw some of that footage and I was talking to Adam about that a few weeks ago when I interviewed him or his band that you're wearing the shirt of.
Mhm.
So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, you're doing great things, Aaron. I think you should, kind of pick it up again. Get it? Pick it up. And go from there. Bad
But I
dad joke.
but I am working on a new book. Actually, I can't say because it's not announced yet, but I'm co-authoring a memoir with a musician who
Okay.
does not play
Ooh.
ska. So, but it's going to get announced in like a few weeks. So,
Okay. That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Patiently waiting.
Now, let's get to we'll get to you after Middagh, but let's go back to Tavis. We know we talked briefly about you getting signed to a major. Now, how did your life change from playing, at high school and out of high school, and then you're doing all that where you're 16, you're still in high school, but doing all of that, how did it drastically change? And how did you feel about the changes? Because I know a lot of people when they get more well known, they kind of some people will, you know, internalize or just,
Sure.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've always been a bit of an introvert, so touring was always an interesting experience for me. But like, I joined the band. I was 16. We got signed. I graduated high school 95. We got signed, I think, October, November 95. So I just kind of rolled straight from high school into touring. And so like there was, like I was in a changing period anyway, so it just kind of like rolled. Um, I mean, we I'm not saying we didn't work hard to get where we were, but we went from we got signed fairly early on.
Mhm.
At a had we gotten signed a year earlier, I probably would have had to quit the band. Um, so like it was it was just kind of what we did. and it was awesome to kind of go, to see the growth. I remember being on tour with the Cherry Poppin' Daddies and Let's Go Bowling in State College, Pennsylvania, when they played our first video in 120 minutes, and like watching that and just being like, holy crap, this is going somewhere. And then getting the first couple spins on K Rock, and like I don't remember what tour we were on with that one, but it was one where we started off opening, and then we got played on K Rock, and then we just sort of slowly worked our way up to headlining on that tour. And it was awesome. Like, what else do you want to be doing at 18?
I do remember on the Come Out Swinging tour, by the end of it, you were co-headlining it.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, so I mean, it was great. It it certainly, by the time I left, it was wearing thin. Just dealing with the label and the music industry, and we'd gone through the peak of ska, and we knew that we were sort of on this tail end. Little did we know at the time that tail would last for 25 years, but I was happy to leave the industry when I did, but for the time it lasted, it was great. And certainly not going to say that it was. I can't complain about it, because I got to do something that millions of people want to, and not many people have.
And how many albums did you record with the band?
So I recorded Everything Sucks, which is kind of our first self-released. Turn the Radio Off, Why Do They Rock So Hard, and Cheer Up. I left between the recording of Cheer Up and the release, so my name is fairly small on that album. But as far as I know, I played on every song with horns except for Boss DJ and Valerie.
Mhm.
Those were recorded after our first mix of the album, and Tyler played those.
And if you don't mind, what was the reason why you left?
Aaron punched me in the face.
Well, I'm sure he's done that to a lot of people, but you
Well, they weren't in a band with him.
was just become stale.
I'm surprised you didn't say you punched him in the face.
No, it
He has
started
a
with him.
stoppable face.
It started with him punching me. I think I punched back after that. But things were getting weird. I probably wasn't the easiest guy to deal with. He was under a lot of stress. And so we had kind of been button heads for most of the recording of the album, I think. And so, just on tour, and things got out of hand, and,
It
I flew
happens.
home. Yeah. He
Wasn't
punched me in.
Wasn't it one of those moments where it was like, you're fired, I quit?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, we got in a fight. They separated us. I went outside, called our manager, and was like, fuck this, I'm quitting. Came back in, and on my bunk was a note from Aaron that just said, you're fired.
I know it's
So,
April
yeah.
1st, but is that real?
That is real.
Okay.
100%.
Oh.
Yeah, and I haven't talked to him since. Um,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. That was a long ass time ago. I'm sure I've gotten over it. I assume he has as well. But
You still
Yeah.
keep in touch. You keep in touch with Scott, of course, but who else in the band? And Dan, because we just saw Dan.
Yeah.
We were at the Rude Girl Riot show.
yeah, Danny and I still talk pretty regularly. I'm still in touch with Scott. That's really it. I've reached out to Matt and Andrew a couple of times, and Carlos.
Matt left her a little early on, though, didn't he?
Andrew left early on. Andrew left in like 99-ish and was
Okay.
replaced by Carlos. Matt left 2007 or 2008, I think. So a few years after I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so I reached out to them. We were kind of connected on social media a few years ago, but haven't really kept in touch. So it's really just Scott and Dan that I'm still
Yeah.
regularly talking to.
And Carlos's daughter's band is
The Linda Lindas.
the Linda Lindas. Yeah.
Carlos, Grammy-winning producer of Paramore and other things. Yeah, he went on to do some very big things.
Did all right.
Yeah, did all right for himself. Yeah, I actually ran into him at one of the Pasadena festivals a couple years ago, because the Linda Lindas were there to see some band who invited them.
Oh, was it one of the Daydream festivals?
It was one of the AEG festivals that that I cannot remember the name of, but the like goth festival thing. I think they were,
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, ran into him and talked to him for a little while, and yeah.
Let's get over to Mr. Beat Happy. And I don't know, want to know why it's called Beat Happy, but Middagh.
It's not like Stiff Dog. The beat of the drum,
so
and
so Middagh,
and ska is very happy. It's very joyous music.
you first started, was it promoting shows, or did you start with the label putting out local bands?
Well, originally back in '85, I was doing college radio at KCSS 92.9 FM in Turlock, California, Stanislaus State. State college at the time, now State University. But I was doing that. And that was about 4 years before Chuck Wren was on the air. 4.5 before that guy in Southern California. I don't know his name. I think you mentioned it earlier. I don't remember.
You mentioned it.
But I did that.
He mentioned it.
And then I started booking shows. Basically, I'd moved up from Southern California to Modesto my sophomore year in high school. So by the time I was a senior, friends of mine were in bands and were touring. And so it was like I'd book them shows when they'd come through. And then I'd start booking local bands on shows, booking some other bands and doing that. And then I left the state for a while, came back and was like, I want to do this again. So I started booking shows in Modesto at the time, where I'm at now. And I became friends with Mike Parks and Skank and Pickle. So I got them on shows with like Lawsuit and different things, and booked a ton of bands, Hoodlum Empire, different bands, whoever, coming through. And then moved to Stockton and just kept going, and basically started a monthly series and booked just about everybody but Real Big Fish.
Wow.
But I saw you a bunch.
Well, I booked him enough times for you to share.
There you go. But yeah, that was that. And then as far as This Is Ska, as doing the radio show, I had about 50 weeks of Fridays booked during the year that the pandemic hit back in what was that, 2020. So I had a ton of stuff there. I had 50 hours at the fairground book, ready to be booked, all these things, and that all went away. And but I was like, I saw things were kind of like, okay, I'm going to have to wait for things. Didn't know how long, didn't expect it to be as long as it was. I was doing a local radio show called Modesto Area Music on our local station, KCBP 95.5 FM. And I was like, hey, well, people can't come to the studio. Let me produce a second show. And I did This Is Ska, sent them in a 1 hour reel, kind of like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of. Next thing I know, they're giving me Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Then it became Monday, Tuesday. All right. Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Saturday night, and Sunday morning. Mm. And I started reaching out to other stations. I thought, who can I get to come out here and be on the air, or be on the air with? Just started reaching out to people, and now it's somewhere around 6 dozen stations. I will say, my number one guest, more times than anybody else, Aaron Carnes.
Awesome.
But I want to say right now, this will be my last year. I've decided, I'm going to start doing live DJing only as DJ M80, and I'm hanging up my hat for This Is Ska. So if anybody wants this banner, just let me know.
It is April 1st. If everyone's
it is. You ruined it. April Fools.
I don't think so. You're a diehard man. And Beat Happy, you're coming back. Let's talk about you coming back and the label coming back and what you're producing.
Yes. I did a couple 7-inches back in the mid 90s. First one had Muster Plug, Punch the Clown, Spies on Sabbatical, and The Independents, the true misfits of ska.
Yep.
The second one had the Scholars from that we were talking about earlier, SKO, Easy Big Fella from Seattle, a band called the Space Heaters from Illinois, and who else was on that one? One other band, Greenhouse, I think they were on it. I know I was going to do something with them. And then I did a Devo tribute.
I have the 7-inch if you want me to grab
Dr. Rock and the Moon Patrol.
Yeah, Dr. Rock.
Which Real Big Fish played some shows with. They were from Fresno, Kingsburg originally, but Fresno ska. And then right now I'm working on what is going to be a multi CD series compilation. I might do a 4 CD set. I might break it up and do two CD sets. I haven't decided. I mean, after listening to Aaron earlier, just poo-poo on ska compilations and physical medium, I'm thinking I need to throw
Compilations in
more money at
general.
it.
I wasn't poo-pooing ska compilations. I was saying the era of compilations in general are over.
Yeah, but we can bring it back.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm gonna put it out there. I'm like, we'll see what's up. I make a little bit of money from Zuckerberg, so I figured why not put it into a losing cause.
Well, you
Or
gotta
winning
you,
cause. I don't know.
for a comp, you gotta follow the John Halperin model of the $1.99 ska CD. That's what you got to do.
Well, maybe if it's a single, but if I do a 4 CD set, then I'm
Right.
losing. Then I'm truly like a ska band, and I'm losing,
But-
$6 on every one I sell.
You're also involved with the Specialized comp from London, correct?
Yes, I am. And this year's either going to be the best or worst of the series. It's holiday songs.
Okay.
Mm.
So
Because
so
you already
they can be
assisted with
original,
the girls, the one, the Femme, what is it called?
Fem her anthems. I also helped with Punk Pioneers. That was the first one I did. And then they did the 80s comp, and I helped, I got a few bands on that, but that was being more curated by Dan from Bim Scala Bim. So this would be the third one, and I'm actually more involved in this one than any other one.
Okay.
So we got some great bands already lined up on it. And basically, if you have a Christmas song and it's not already on there and you want to send it in, I'm sure they'll take it. There's bands recording originals, and then some recording brand new versions of classics.
Mm.
But this is the first one where they're not specifically going, we want to cover that isn't out there. Here's the theme, and we don't want something you put out 20 years ago. Sorry, Mike, you were not putting Turning Japanese on this comp because everybody already has it, knows the song.
Exactly. Now,
So if Narboots wants to come back and do a great Christmas song, let me know.
so Middagh, you're still promoting shows in your area, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Not as much as I used to, but still doing stuff. The next one that's coming up will be the 18th of April. It's the Central Valley Ska Festival, and it's very niche. It's bands from basically Bakersfield up to like Reading. So it's the Central Valley. This year we have bands from Sonora, from Chico, from Sacramento, from Fresno, from Modesto. I think that's what it is. 6 bands. We were going to have a couple DJs from Junior Ska Boston Screamer were going to come out, but with the price of gas and everything, they're just like, we can't afford it. But Norbert Rick, do you know Norbert, Aaron?
I don't think so.
Very sharp dressed ska boy from the South Bay, but originally from Germany.
It doesn't ring.
He used to come out to a bunch of ska shows, Pickle, different things. So you probably had seen him, may not know who he was. But he's going to come out and spin. I'm going to spin, and I've decided to spin on this one specifically two-tone and 80s ska, so I can keep my DJ M80 thing going.
Yep.
So I can get nominated for best DJ in Stanislaus County and win that thing. Bring that mama home.
Wait, aren't you in charge of the voting board on that?
I am not part of the voting board, but I am part of it. But the thing is, if I get nominated, I'll go for it. But I'm reaching out. I'm trying to double down, do different things. I'm doing a benefit show for the Eltington Feline Foundation on August 28th. I think it's a furry convention. No, it's to raise money for a cat shelter. I did reach out and got denied. There's a club here in Modesto called Crocodiles, and Flock of Seagull is playing there. It's a second chance prom or something, 80s themed. I said, hey, what about me as your DJ? But I'm going to do some brunches, different things. I'm just mixing it up.
Yeah.
Have some fun with it. All 80s music. So I thought for the Ska Festival, why not play 80s? Do you remember Lastistics from Sacramento, Tavis?
Yeah.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know. So they're playing. We did have originally, but for some reason they can't. Los Hooligans were going to come up and play from Fresno, who I know were on a couple of the flyers you spread through. But I'm not sure one of the guys can't do it, so they're off right now. So things change as anything. Then I have Horizon Point, who were at your festival at the Rubio Right Fest. They're playing with Foolish Relics on June 3rd,
Oh, okay, cool.
and then Atypical Heroes and I think it's
So they're
Atypical
coming
Heroes,
through again.
and there's a couple bands coming in August.
Hmm.
So, and then we'll just see.
I was talking to James from Slow Gherkin, and I know Andy down here was trying to get them. I think it was supposed to
And
be March.
George,
Yeah, Andy was supposed to either get them in March or I think it was July. I'm not sure. I hopefully I
well,
didn't.
March came, so that didn't happen.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm not giving anything away with this thing, but they were looking to have a bunch of shows and to actually play in SoCal and in your area again, or both of your area. I mean, so we'll see what happens with Slow Gherkin there. Also
Yeah,
the Impossible,
they went
the Impossibles are going to be
England
coming
recently,
through
didn't
again.
they?
Say it again.
Yes. I think they just went to England recently.
They did. They did. I think it was, I don't know. It's on the interview
Yes.
that I did. I don't remember. But the Impossibles are coming through again. I was talking to Rory about that. So that's pretty cool. But I wanted to ask you, are any of you guys promote at all? Tavis or Aaron, any shows or anything like that? No.
I actually do. I do a live storytelling show in Sacramento, so I guess I do promote
That's
a show,
promoting.
but it's not music at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now for Middagh, we're promoting shows. What do you see the differences between back in the 90's promoting shows and how easy or difficult it was compared to now with social media?
Well, one big thing was with social media and even anything else. People have a lot more that they can just be on their phone or on a tablet or whatever doing stuff. It's like you drop a new Pokemon Go and everybody's out there doing that. You see crowds of people. So it's a little bit harder. You got to like you can't just shotgun it. You have to almost snipe or not to be violent here or talk, that, but you almost have to pinpoint, okay, these are the people I'm going for, to bring them out. Just doing a general thing is a lot harder to just put it out. When I was doing shows, when you were doing shows, when they were playing shows, one, kids had nothing to do. Nobody had a cell phone. And if you wanted to find out when the party was or what was going on, you went to that concert on Friday night, talked to people, hung out with your friends, and then made plans to go do something else, But you enjoyed it. It was that live action. Now everybody's like on a screen.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder to engage in that way. I still do flyers, hand them out when I can, so that you have that interaction. People, it's like if somebody says, "Oh, if I'm wearing a Scottish shirt, like either this right now I'm on a toaster shirt or this is a Scottish shirt or whatever else," it's like, "Oh, I like that." It's like, "Oh, check this out." It's like you really have to engage people so much more. You had to do it back then too, but if there was something going on, people wanted to come out. And then, like I said, there was that point of time where there was a few compilations, and if they had those, if a band was playing your show and oh, I know that band. They seemed like so much bigger if they were on, even the generic Skaka comp. It's like it seemed like, oh, they're on a CD. They know the song. They sing along to the song when they get there, but it's boom.
Well, a lot of that, what I did in the 90's and kind of what I did with the Goodwin Club and the Hippos back then was I used a lot of my favors from booking those bands that are across the states and to kind of cash in those favors to play with those bands out in their territory, which in turn, we traded shows, which is great. I don't know how bands do it nowadays on that, but I see a lot of them that you kind of have like 3 or 4 bands that are going this little tour, and then you have like one local band, and that's it, which really doesn't give the opportunity for these bands to play, the local bands to play with some of these other bands because it's a the tour coming through, kind of like the Less Than Jake, and like Bitey Bambi did a lot of tours, and like Tavis's buddy Jesse too plays with them. I think he's recording with them right now for their next album. So there's a lot of these tour things that come through, like package tours is what I was talking about. package tours that come through before it was just one band, and then we're going to go, what great local bands that were draw will get us seen more. And
Yeah.
it's just changed a little with the whole dynamic. Because I know when Catbite comes out, they've got their own thing and everything, and they have like one band, one local band, if anything, on there. When there's a lot of local bands that want to play with this band, so it's kind of strange. But I guess it also depends on these booking agents as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the day, you would have sometimes you'd have a second touring band with it, but a lot of it was, unless it was a package like the Ska Against Racism tour, where it was like, this is it, and it's massive, and you're coming to see all these bands because this was the moment. Or more recently, the Bad Time Record tour, where it's like, these are your local was the local Bad Time Record band. So Omnicon up here, and then Half Past Two coming up, Half Past Two, and Sorry Sweetheart. So you have these bands that are local, but the package is built around the label.
Mm-hmm.
And that really goes back to Motown, and or the Rock and Roll Reviews, where you'd have, here's eight bands, you have one backing band and 8 vocalists up front, touring as a package. But it was like massive because it is what it is. But it did become probably early 2000, mid 2000, where you had these packages, just 5 bands on a bill, because of some new booking agent. He has one band that's kind of big, and he throws everybody else on there. And goes, and it's like, you got maybe 2 bands, 1.5 bands that are going to draw in my area, and you just want me to book this on a Tuesday, and you want me to throw 4 bands on so that people will come out to see you. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But it did become that. It's like, it's a different thing when you have the excitement of a tour, and it's like Jer, Kill Lincoln, Bad Operation. All of them are relatively headliners of a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Like Half Past Two in Southern California can headline a lot of shows. So you have that, but it was a solid package, and it was smart for them. I know some people gave grief, but it was a smart way to get out there as a label to do it. Most times, unless you have a strong package, like when Mustard Plug came through with the Toasters and Iron Roses, you had 2 strong bands. I mean, Mustard Plug's still hot, Toasters are still doing great. So you got a solid package. For the most part, on the off nights, it was just the 3 bands. There was a few shows where the venues would throw an opening band local. A lot of those were ones that were, encouraging the local to sell tickets.
Yeah. And there's a lot of bands like on a weekday, like you're saying, that will play for just to sell merch or drink tickets or whatever, just like Josh did with Stop the Presses that came through in Vegas, that had a free show, right? Junior Ska Boss.
Yeah, they got a percentage of the bar. There's one does percentage of the bar. There's another club where, depending on which one it is, there's one club that each band gets $50 regardless. If you want to play that club, it's an old, I think it's a Double Down. I think does $50 per band regardless. And there's sometimes really serious bands playing there for $50. But it's kind of like, if you had an opportunity to play CBGBs and they were only give you $50, you say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you play the legendary CBGBs. Or like Gilman, and know that you're getting a percentage of the door.
Right.
But yeah, it's a different animal.
Yeah. So Tavis, so you play in how many bands right now?
I'm in 3 bands right now.
3 bands, and they're not ska. One's kind of ska-ish. Well, Goodwin Club.
2 are Scotch. So the newest band I'm in is called Too Much Fun Club. It's a ska band from basically Long Beach, going for more of like a 2-tone sound. We have a 2-song release that we put out on all the streaming platforms, Shore Club and Bonzo Rides Again. So yeah, that I joined that band last summer, I guess. They're a fairly new band. Our next show, I think, is going to be at Alex's Bar in Long Beach in August. That hasn't been finalized yet, but yeah. So that's one band. I'm in another band called the Cineramas that I've been in for over 10 years, about 10 years now. We do all cover songs from Tarantino movies. So it's a kind of fun cover band.
And you played at Alex's bar before with that band. I remember.
Yeah, Alex is our bass player, so we get a lot of shows at Alex's.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
We're actually
Nepotism.
we're booking a show at Alex's. I believe it's May 30th with Tom Kenny and the High Seas, who are a really awesome like R&B review with Tom Kenny, who does the voice of SpongeBob.
Okay.
So he puts on a really, really entertaining show. So we're playing with them May 30th. I don't think tickets are on. That hasn't been actually announced yet, so hopefully I don't get in trouble for that. So yeah, I'm in that band. I've been doing that for about 10 years. It's super fun. And then I play with the Goodwin Club whenever they ask me. That started probably 2-ish years ago. So yeah, basically anytime that they're playing and I don't have another show, I typically play with them. So
Right.
That's been fun, just kind of reconnecting with all those people from a lifetime ago.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think you played at the show that I had because you had another gig, I think, that night, right?
Yeah, Cineramas were playing that night, so I couldn't do both.
Of course.
So
Of course.
missed that one, unfortunately, but yeah.
Now, the ska scene in the area where you guys live, what bands are current in your area? I know Middagh talked about, his, in that area. Aaron, how far are you from Middagh and what bands are still prevalent in your area?
I live in Sacramento,
Oh, okay. So you're quite far.
so not far.
Okay.
About an hour away.
Yeah. New bands, active
Well, you have
bands.
Secto Storytellers, right?
Yeah,
Secto Storyteller.
that's a band.
Lestistics.
Lestistics.
Simple Solution.
They started up again recently, I think. Yeah. Who I don't know who else really is active in Sacramento.
There's another one. It's not Simple Solution, right? Are they from
Simple
there?
Solutions from up there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Simple Solution, Sacto. There's another one I can't think of. Oh, no, it's probably from his area. We know Tavis's area because it's like the same here. So we know the Orange County and LA bands too. We know Middah's because he books them all every year. Now your favorite
That's throughout the whole valley, but in Modesto, there's the Bracers, Horizon Point. There's a band who plays occasionally, still medium active, and that would be B420. As far as bands that play somewhat regularly, I hear there's a youth band that's forming that's going to be like a 10 or 12 piece, male and female vocals, 4 or 5 piece horns, and organ. I can't wait.
Is Voluntary Hazing up there? They're by you.
They're from San Jose. Yeah.
San Jose. Okay. Got it.
I like them a lot. They gave
They're
me
fun.
a seat. Yeah, they when I played with the Goodwin Club in San Jose, one of them was there and gave me a CD. And I actually have a car with a CD player. I threw it in. I was like, oh, these guys are great.
Very good. I think they're coming on next week.
Nice.
They're next couple of weeks we have
Yeah,
Voluntary
they just did Doll Fest in Oakland, and they're on Pioneer Town or Pioneer
Valley.
Fest.
Yeah, the other ska festival. There's Central Valley,
Pioneer Fest?
Pioneer Valley.
No, Pioneer.
Yeah, and I think are you gonna play that show, Tavis? Are you gonna go out there with them to play with the Goodwin Club to play out there in Boston? In
They
July?
haven't asked me yet.
Oh,
so I don't know.
Yeah, it's like July 16th or something in
We'll be
Boston.
getting a fax from them soon.
Yeah,
They're fired.
yeah. Them and Codename are going out there.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if Jesse asks.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, for each of you, what challenges have you guys faced in the ska scene in regards to what you do?
So challenges,
obstacles, anything that you've had to overcome, run-ins with, promoters, like record labels, like Tav was saying, band members, things like that. What challenges that you faced that you've had to overcome to get where you are now or where you want to be?
Well, when I was pitching my book, I had nobody was interested in my book except for the one publisher that accepted it, which is Clash. I sent a proposal to a bunch of publishers, to a bunch of agents. I got mostly no replies, but some of the replies I got were so strange. Like there was one woman that was like, "I'm interested. Tell me more about your book." But I'm not sure if she said what's the show she liked? It was the British show, something Paradise. You know what I'm talking about? There's a British like a detective crime show that has a lot of like first, second wave ska music on it.
Oh, This Town?
No, no, not it's
Oh,
not a
okay.
ska. It's not ska's not part of the plot.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's just there's a lot of ska music on it.
Huh.
It's like, anyways. So she referenced that show as like evidence of her ska fandom, but she said to me, "I'd like to hear more about it, but I'm just not sure if soundtrack music is going to be a compelling book." I was like, "Ska's no, just because a show you like is soundtracked by ska, that doesn't make that's not what ska is, you know." So, but anyways, that was some of the reactions I was getting, and but the publisher Clash, who did accept it, they're not ska fans at all. I mean, they don't even like ska, but they like that I was defending it, that I was like making an argument in favor of ska. So,
Well, I do know for a fact that the publisher wrote a ska song and it got
He
played
did.
worldwide
oh yeah,
on my show.
he made the ska song because I sold like a certain amount of copies.
Exactly. He lost that bet.
So
Tavis,
I don't know.
do you care? Any challenges for you?
I mean, going back to the early days, there was, the third wave versus traditional argument, and we weren't punk enough for the punk fans, and we weren't ska enough for the ska fans. But I mean, that was mid '90s. Um, After '97, there was the kind of pigeonholing of like, oh, you guys are just a ska band and ska's done with. So like, there was that. I think we did get kind of pigeonholed into what now would be referred to as like the mozzarella stick meme.
Oh my God, I was
Um,
just gonna say that. It's so funny.
and I totally see where that's coming from, but on the other hand, like you listen to a lot of our stuff. We did a lot of weird and interesting stuff that was not, it was a lot more complex and was not just like the silly ska stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even like today with Too Much Fun Club, I had a friend who was like, I heard you guys were actually good. Like I don't really like ska, but I listened to that song and I actually liked it. So it's like I think that's still kind of a, ska still needs defending, um, to some
Yes.
to some extent. But I mean, I think that yeah, I
That's
don't know
I
that any
think,
of
and I think Aaron coined that phrase, ska now more than ever, right? Or was it
No,
Adam?
no.
Who
So
was it?
Adam popularized it, let's say, but
Okay.
actually Monique, that started with Say Ferris.
Oh, okay.
She started saying that. And I think it was her guitarist at the time who came up with the term, and she would say it
That
on stage. Yeah, that's where it started.
the original Brian
Mhm.
Mashburn?
No,
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 no, no.
not the original.
Post
Oh,
This
original.
was like somewhere in like 2018, 2017, somewhere around that. Yeah.
Got it.
I don't think
That's safe.
I don't think the guitarist is in the band now, but it
Was
was
it Bones?
I could not tell you.
You
I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah. But actually, Adam and Brent Friedman, who's a guy who books a lot of the ska bands,
Mhm.
and he plays drums in
Drummer
Omnigone,
from Save the Swim Team.
originally from Save the Swim Team. Yeah, played in We Are the Union for a while as well. They started saying it a little bit as a joke. They just saw Save Ferris posting "Ska now more than ever," and they thought it was funny. So they started saying it initially as a joke, and then it sort of turned into a serious thing. And then Omnigone would always say it at their shows, and we started putting it um, in our podcast. And also, I put it on my book cover.
Mhm.
"Ska now more than ever" edition. So
Then got sued.
Monique did get mad at me, but we talked it out.
That's
We're
good.
fine.
You hugged it out. Now, you guys I know probably Tavis is probably the only one that's never been to a Supernova Ska Fest, right?
I have not.
You have not. Do you have any plans to go to just see it since you're kind of back in the scene and see what it's all about?
That big, real big fish reunion.
I doubt I'll be a part of that. Uh, I don't know. It's a long way to go.
Yeah. It is a long way. It's a great thing. I rave about it just because I've been a couple times and I hung out with Middagh last year in regards to that, and I was there the same year that Aaron was there in 23 too, but we didn't connect. I didn't have this podcast back then though. But it's just an amazing atmosphere. It's just for the whole community to come together. It's just like family. It's awesome. It's an amazing place to be.
Yeah, if they ever do a Supernova West Coast, then I'll be there.
Yeah.
But
I actually
Maybe
wanted
easy
to
for
pitch
us.
the idea. But after I did that Rude Girl Riot thing and lost my ass, I said, nope, I'm not going to do any more of these festival things anytime soon. Now we're gonna wrap it up a little. Got a few more questions. Since we know that Scott does not pay the bills, and I ask this in every podcast, what are each of your occupations if you care to share with us? Except for Middagh.
Because he makes his money from Zuckerberg.
For all
So
the
yeah,
things.
I work as I do bookkeeping, and I also have an editing job,
Hmm.
like newspaper editing job, and then just being an author. So I just kind of have I have a little bit of a bunch of things as I make ends meet. Yeah,
Keeps you busy.
yeah.
I'm a mechanical engineer. I do building commissioning and HVAC optimization and that kind of stuff.
Oh, very
That
nice.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
I guess we'll ask Middagh. Yeah.
I do a little bit of writing. I'm the managing editor or feral cat wrangler for the Modesto View. I do make some money off of social media through This Is Ska. Used to be more. Some it varies, but it's enough to buy some records. Chuck gets my money. Mike gets a little bit. I spread it around, and then I do some social media stuff for a few things. I do work for food. There's a place Komodo here, sushi place, and I work for Sushi Bucks.
Nice.
Why not? And then I do some data inputting and just whatever needs to be done.
Well, odds and ends. That's good. Right on. I do auto insurance claims, so I'm the bottom of the barrel of the company because we spend all the money, so it really kind of sucks. But if anyone's listening, which I highly doubt they will, job sucks. Your pet peeves and addictions. I know, maybe one of yours. What are each of your pet peeves and addictions? It doesn't have to be anything bad. It could be something kind of like Middagh is addicted to collecting vinyl.
Mhm.
And drinking coffee,
Drinking.
caffeine and vinyl.
Those are my two as well.
Awesome.
I mean, I don't collect vinyl or collect music, but I'm pretty obsessed with music.
Hmm.
It goes well beyond the genre of ska. It's just, and it seems like the older I get, I'm not really removing genres or bands that I like. It's more I just keep adding and adding and adding and adding. It just keeps broadening.
Looks like you're obsessed with books too.
Yes, yeah. Books and music. Those are my
Tavis has a
favorite
lot
things.
behind him too.
I got a bunch over in the corner, couple book racks in this room.
Yeah, but if I bet you if you moved your camera looking down, you'll have CDs and vinyl all around you. See, of course he does.
All my records are downstairs.
I got them on shelves. I do the show each week, so it's like they're all around.
Yeah. All right. Now, what does the future hold for each of you? What do you have in the works? What are you guys doing? Any extracurricular things, or is it just straight the 9 to 5 grind?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm working on a new book. I mean, writing for me is probably the most important thing that, I've been a writer for a while. I was a journalist.
Is it therapeutic for you?
I don't know if it's therapeutic. It's just something that I need to do.
Mm.
So I was a music journalist for a good chunk of time, which is what ultimately led to writing in defense of ska.
Mhm.
I'm not writing articles anymore. That's why I have just an editing job. So I'm just, I still involved there. I'm trying to focus more on books. I actually started a novel as well, but this other book came in, so I'm still working on the novel, but this other book we got contracts. This has a deadline, so this one's taking center stage. And the other thing, I said it earlier, I do a storytelling show with my wife and my friend Keith. It's true personal stories. It's called In a Nutshell. So it's just a show. We do it at this theater in Midtown Sacramento, where they do a lot of plays and they do some more like sit down musical performances. And people tell, it's usually like four people. They tell like true personal stories, about 15, 20 minutes each. And there's usually a theme around their stories. And oftentimes their stories end up being in conversation with each other a little bit, not on purpose, just because they're all on the same topic.
Mhm.
Like our next show, April 17th, is Take This Job and Shove It. So it's all, you can see how they would be similar in some ways, but also very different as well. And yeah, so that's what I spend my time doing, those things.
Right on. Great.
Found it down.
Yeah, I guess for me, hopefully someday I'll be able to retire from working and focus on playing and building furniture. For the time being, just playing with free bands and recording with anyone who needs a trumpet part, and just trying to keep busy,
Mhm.
do what I can to keep myself slightly young, maybe.
Do you ever get mistaken for Mike Baralt?
No,
No?
I mean,
What's that?
I can see a little resemblance, but if you see us next to each other,
Yeah.
we're clearly different people.
Yeah.
Um,
Middagh? Is Middagh on mute?
No, I'm not on mute. So, yeah, just keep doing the show. Eventually, I will become hopefully the number one ska radio show in the world. I know I got a long way to go because there's that guy in Southern California who I think has 900,000 listeners every week. But and I know Aaron will be on it. I believe Darrell, if he can make it, will be on it. In California time, the 25th, 8 p.m., the Critical Music Club. We'll have Sean Dinsmore from the Unity 2 and the Toasters. He was on Throw Me Up and Ska Boom. We're going to be specifically talking about Throw Me Up on here on this show. And it's broadcast out of, I believe, Shanghai, I believe. But, so if you're over there, it's Sunday at 1 p.m.
Mm.
So the day after. Originally, they wanted to do it the same day as the festival. I'm like, yeah, I got something else I got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had to move on from that. But yeah, just continue doing the show. I've been, like I said, started live DJing again. Unfortunately, my mom passed away last year. I'd been taking care of her. I was her in-home caregiver for 5 years. So that allowed me after a while of, I'm still, there's days, good days, bad days, like anybody.
Mhm.
But I was like about two turntables and a mixer again. Started doing some gigs, and decided to once again do a pinpoint. I was like, I'm going to just do 80s on vinyl.
Mm.
Dave Bracer and Jules both do soul and reggae and a little old school rock steady and such. It's like, I'm not going to worry about that. Other people doing house music, different things, hip hop. Like, I'll do 80s specifically and specifically on vinyl and just go from there. And if I do one show a month, I'm happy.
Mm.
If it picks up a few more, great.
Cool.
But as far as the gigs that I have booked, it's paid for my gear. So not bad. I'll buy some new stuff to intersect and then add vinyl here and there when I can find it at a great price. But I grew up in the 80s and I still have a ton of vinyl from my childhood.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Now, we'll sum this up. Any last words that you have for the fans of each of you and the viewers of this channel?
I'll start. And I say this every week, support the bands, labels, stations, DJs, podcasters, those that bring you information and music, go out and support them. Go see live music. Go see the bands live, because that's the way it, really that's the way it was meant to be. Buy their merch so they are not as poor, keep them going a little bit. There's some amazing authors out there. Aaron's one of them. I own his book. I need to get your second edition because, see if you mention me again in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Ska Now More Than Ever edition. Remember to skank responsibly, but yeah, support the scene and show your love whenever you can. Bring your friends, because music is best seen and heard with friends.
Nice.
There's a photo of Middagh in Defense of Ska as well.
Yes. Did you correct the
caption? I don't know.
You said it was a food truck, but it's not a food truck. It was a truth truck.
The third edition's going to delete you altogether.
Oh, and then in the book, if you read it, at least the first edition, maybe the second, Aaron says that if you ask me, I'll tell you that he was the worst roadie ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's his quote, but if you ask me, that's what I would say, is what he said in the book.
If you ask me, I would say
I don't know if it's corrected, but Arrogant Sons of Bitches. No, I mean Arrogant Sons of Bitches broke up in Stockton, California at the Blackwater Cafe, which Aaron Carnes with Adam Davis doing Nar Boots opened up for the Royal We, Greg Ginn, who took 6 hours to get his laptop ready to perform for 20 minutes. But that's where they broke up, a show I booked. So Jeff Rosenstock fans out there, you're welcome. What a flex is that? That's a good flex, right, Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I don't know how I can top him, so I just say,
he's my little brother.
Listen, yeah. We have a running gag. We have a running gag that Adam and I are Middah's younger brothers.
Hey, you guys made the shirts.
Yeah. We called ourselves for a gig, a Narbut's gig, we called ourselves the Goodwin Boys.
That was actually at that Greg Ginn gig.
Yeah. So not the Goodwin Club, but I guess it's pretty close. The Goodwin Boys.
Yeah.
And had my picture
boys in the club.
Yeah.
Or was that Jack Black's picture? I always forget.
No, it was your face.
I know it was. There's a picture of the three of us. So my picture is on their shirts, and then me in the middle. And then of course Adam's towering over us.
Yeah, of course.
Good times. Good times.
I'll say
I think real quick before.
Yeah.
I think I've booked every band you've been in, haven't I? Flat Planet.
Oh, you're talking about me?
You, yes, you.
Okay.
Okay.
Flat Planet.
Yes, Flat Planet.
Captain Carmel's Calliope.
Yes.
It's a good
right?
name.
Yeah, that was a fake kids band.
Huh?
It was a fake kids band.
Yes.
Very, very short lived.
Aaron basically was
Captain Clark
Thompson.
Yeah.
Or but he do it. It was songs like, Good Touch, Bad Touch.
Yeah.
On their bikes.
Yeah. Did you ever book Fashion Police? That was
I believe so once.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And then Nar Boots, the Goodwin Boys, which was a one-off.
Did you? I don't think you booked the garage rock band I played drums in, which was the Sudsman.
No, I guess not. So most of your bands.
Shannon Smith. That was Shannon Smith.
Yeah, Shannon Smith, who came up with the name Skankin' Pickle.
Yes, and he was son of Kurtwood Smith from That 70s Show.
Yes,
dad.
Small world, and he was also in the Vulcaneers.
Yes, the Vulcaneers with Jerry
Lars and Jerry.
Yeah.
Yes. Star Trek themed surf band.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't think that. So yeah, I think
I've booked many of your bands.
You booked a majority of them. Yes.
Biggest crowds I've ever seen.
I do remember my. Aside from that, Greg Ginn, epic Greg Ginn show. My favorite show that you booked was a Flat Planet show, where we opened for what is that band called? That crazy Southern California ska punk band. The one they had a split with the Janitors.
One Eye Open.
One Eye Open. One Eye Open,
Yeah.
and it was at a pizza shop.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
Love
that was
One Eye
my
Open.
One Eye Open, I love those guys.
Yeah.
yeah.
Kevin's crazy.
Yeah, he is. He's just doing the t-shirt thing now.
Yeah.
Stickers. Yeah. I
I'm
saw him.
still playing in Scotch mode.
Yeah, yeah. Him and Panel and I don't know
If
who
they
else.
play right.
Yeah, I just saw Kevin at he actually delivered shirts to the Goodwin Club at the Rude Girl Riot Ska Fest. So that's what I got to see. I haven't seen him since they play with janitors, or I don't know who they play with. Maybe janitors at a meal ticket at the Natural Fudge Cafe back in here in LA.
Natural Fudge.
You remember that place?
Oh, hell yeah.
That place is a dive, man.
Yeah, it was. And
I
the
remember.
owners were crazy.
Yeah.
So the actor John Ross Bowie, who's in Big Bang Theory, he was the
Mhm.
character that had the lisp.
Oh, yeah.
He has punk roots. He played in a pop punk band back in the day, and in his memoir, he talks about running into kind of interacting with One Eye Open and how he was just blown away by them, not necessarily their music, but that they were like the real deal, that they like lived in their van, that they were just on perpetual tour, that they were just 100% in on it, no backup plan, no safety net. And he was just like, when they met them on
Until
tour,
they
they were
weren't.
just like, wow, like these guys are doing it.
Yeah.
That was a
How
funny, that was a
many
funny
y'all
part.
saw Panda No Panda?
Panda No Panda.
Panda No Panda. Booked him twice.
Okay.
Shinjo from Japan. He did a lot of art, but he did a lot of remixes. So that Vandals remixed album, he did.
Mhm.
Shingo, that was Shingo. And then Kevin was in the band. He moved to Japan for a little bit, was teaching English. And he started this little weird electro pop group. And the only reason I booked him, not because the music's fine, whatever, not my thing, but was because Kevin was in it, like, oh yeah, let's do it. And I ended up like twice they came through, Stockton, not like, hey, we're playing out, come flying over and playing out, hometown down there. They like toured the West Coast, maybe in the whole US. I don't know. They just nuts. But yeah, Panda No Panda, check them out.
All right.
Nice.
And Tavis, your last words?
Yeah. So find Too Much Fun Club and the Cineramas and Goodwin Club on socials. Follow us there. Keep up with what we're doing. I'll echo Middah's comment, support live music, fight fascism, fuck ICE, free Palestine. It's a good way to end.
Yeah, love it. Well, gentlemen, it's been a true pleasure. I really appreciate the time that you took to talk to us and fans and everything about the 90s and what you guys are up to. It'll be great to see what you guys have coming up and check you guys out. Aaron, I don't know if you're going to be down at the Central Valley Ska Fest or not, if you're going to travel down there or anything.
We'll see.
But yeah,
that would mean that Aaron's coming out and supporting live ska music outside of Sacramento. No, I do see him outside once in a while. He does, but he's a busy guy.
Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. I'm sure I'll see, I know either Middagh or Tavis soon, but Aaron, we'll connect one day soon.
Yes.
And thank you guys for everything. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Darrell.
take care, guys.
Good seeing
Bye.
Tavis. Love you, little brother.